The Haunting Tales of Dark Shivering.
Dark Shivering is a quaint village which lies on the English and Welsh border. It is notoriously difficult to find, and with neither Wales or England staking their claim over it, it has been largely forgotten and untouched by outside hands. It was renamed Dark Shivering in the early 1800s to break away from its pagan-rooted original name, which was Witchstow. This roughly translates as Witch's Holy Place, and at the time was no longer deemed appropriate for the village. After many years of staying in Dark Shivering whilst on business, I have managed to amass quite a few stories from the dark side. Here are a few to make you shiver. The Witch Dolls. The Moody Cow stands at a central crossroads in Dark Shivering. It has been there for over 200 years and is full of original features throughout. It boasts low ceilings with beams, wooden floors and flagstones. When it began life as a tavern, it was originally called the Traveller's Rest, and being on a main route through the village, it was indeed somewhere for travelers to rest. It used to offer room accommodation, but now enjoys the popularity of its 5-star restaurant instead. I have eaten there on many occasions and found it to be nothing less than delicious. The chap who owns the Moody Cow enjoys a good chat at the end of service with his customers, and it was on one of these occasions that he sat with me and my guests and told us all about the recent strange events at his establishment. This is his story in his own words.
When I bought the Moody Cow in 1999, I was really happy that I had managed to buy an already thriving business. At first we continued running it with accommodation, but it was always my intention to turn the upstairs into private living quarters and to concentrate on achieving my first Michelin star. Within the first couple of years we really put all our energies into transforming the place into what we had always envisioned. By 2002 we had stopped all accommodation and had moved into the upstairs living area ourselves. The work inside the building was complete, and in 2004 I achieved my first Michelin star after a lot of hard work. In this time, I began to feel that the outside of building was letting the business down and there was nowhere outside that people could sit or eat if they wanted, so my next project was to create a garden area for the customers to enjoy. I wanted the job done properly and so employed a landscape gardener to transform the outside area into a flower-filled garden. I was surprised at how fast the garden took shape, and within weeks the gardener had finished, and on his last day he popped into my office with a box full of things and told me that he had dug some items up in the garden and that I might like to look through them before throwing anything out. He left them inside my office door and I thought no more about it. In the following weeks my wife started to have nightmares about being attacked by an old witch-type woman. She said that the witch kept screaming at her, "Poppets, poppets, where have you put my poppets?" Well, neither of us knew what it meant, and I wasn't particularly worried until my wife said that she had started to see this old woman in the daytime when she was fully awake. To be honest, it gave me the creeps a little, but I was steaming ahead with the business and everything was so busy and exhausting that I just didn't have time to worry about a ghost or whatever she was. So I continued to do nothing about it. It was nearly a whole year later that I actually found myself wondering what was in the box left in my office by the gardener, so I put it on my desk and started looking through. There was a mixture of things from coins to plates and bottles. In fact, there were lots of bottles. They looked like the old medicine bottles you used to get many years ago, and curiously inside each one was a little material doll. I was quite taken with the bottles and thought they would look good inside the bar area for people to look at and enjoy, so I took the 20 or so bottles and put them on a high shelf in the bar. Over the next few weeks my wife told me that she had started seeing this witch in the same place in the bar area. She wasn't solid but had a wispy quality. I had still seen and felt nothing, and none of the guests had complained, so again I just continued working and swept the issue under the carpet. Then one evening a lady came into the bar and asked to speak to me and my wife. I was very busy, but when I saw this old lady stood waiting patiently to speak to us, I put my work aside and went to see what she wanted. The old lady sat down steadily and took her time in choosing her words. The first sentence from her lips had my wife in amazement, and from there on we were both sat wide-mouthed listening to what she had to say. She told us very calmly that we had some poppets that needed returning to the earth. This was exactly what my wife had been dreaming about for the last year. How this lady knew was beyond our comprehension. But she continued on that, many years previous, a practicing witch had lived in an old hut that had stood here before the pub was built. She was not evil or malevolent. She was just out of her mind with concern over these poppets. She wanted them to be returned to their rightful place in the earth and left there for good. It turned out that these little dolls inside the bottles were called poppets, and they had each been made to bind 21 demonic entities to the darker planes of existence. Keeping the bottles above ground was a hazard which could undo her good work lest they should be broken. We didn't really know what to make of this tale, but the woman was insistent that she took the bottles and reburied them for us. My wife was willing to believe her and do as she asked, especially if it meant her nightmares would stop, so for the sake of an easy life I let her take the bottles. She carefully put each one into a box and then silently left the room with a smile. We were left with so many questions unanswered, but after that day my wife never saw the witch again or had another nightmare. I was happy with the result, but something kept nagging at my wife. She said that the old lady who spoke with us and took the bottles looked very much like the witch in her nightmares, and she was adamant that it was her in the flesh. I was just glad that the episode had all blown over, and I still don't really know what to think of it, especially the part about demonic entities. But if you ask my wife, her experience was very different to mine, and she says it was those experiences that forced her into believing in the paranormal.
I thought this story was so interesting. I would have loved to have seen the bottles for myself, but they are probably safer off where they are now. I must ask the next time I go there if anyone else saw the old lady who took the bottles that night. It would be interesting to know if the owners were the only ones to see her. Join me next week for more haunting tales of dark shivering. Don't forget to click like and subscribe so you never miss another episode. Remember to watch the other frightening episodes. From the haunted Colorworks factory, the demonic parlor, the terrifying dungeon and the sinister devil's church, all on YouTube to watch on a dark night. Watch if you dare.